Pickaxe.
Hello, you are listening to the podcast version of this week's episode of One Life Left. I'm Simon Byron.
I am Steve Curran.
We've just finished recording the show as live, almost at the time it does air on Resonance. So we can see in real time how dark the nights are. Difficult ending to that one, Steve, where we ran out of things to say 6 minutes before the show ended. So that was fun.
There was, I don't know, so like that happens so rarely, and there was obviously some kind of miscalculation at some point during the show.
Well, it was because I accidentally did the reviews in the letter section.
Now,
that wouldn't have made any difference to the overall timing of it, but we would have been able to sort of talk about that a little bit more. So lesson one from this week's broadcast is don't review during the letters. As Ed points out during the show, we didn't address all of his questions, and that was how to deal with Big Gary. Do you have any suggestions for him, Steve?
Big Gary being the person who's going to come around and try and claim, repossess Ed's possessions. You repossess
because
possessions?
He's been buying digital cards that don't exist in the real world with real money.
Well, as I understand it, bailiffs are like vampires in that they can't come in unless you let them, right? So as long as you don't say Gary's name 3 times in a mirror and then invite him in at the door, you're all right. You'll be fine. You can't get in.
It is Halloween tomorrow when the show airs, and there's lots of that around. And so, talking of saying the name 3 times in a mirror, would you ever do that? We watched the remake with Dex. Did we watch it with him, or were we talking about it afterwards? And he said, I've done it. And I'm like, why would you do that?
Why would you take the risk?
Would you? Have you done it?
I haven't. I've also, the scene in Poltergeist with the static.
Yeah.
And the TV and the girl just staring at it. Yeah. Always had a bit of a fear of that kind of. You don't see a lot of static these days, do you? I don't know when the last time I saw static. Maybe that's because there are just fewer ghosts around. I don't know. But I like any of this sort of stuff. Definitely would avoid it. I was seeing a flat the other day, a house actually, the other day, and the loft had been boarded up, and there was a padlock on it. And the person who owned the house, which had been in their family for generations, was built in 1880 or something, and they were finally selling it on. The person, sort of, a woman, I reckon around about 65, with her friend. She was having a coffee downstairs, and I said, "So, what's in the loft?" And her friend just shot her a look, and she glanced back at her friend, and she said, "Nothing at all."
Wow. Well, combine that with what you mentioned on the show earlier. Imagine if you did the tour in VR.
VR tour of that place.
And you went into the loft. No, but it was a game.
That's a good game. That's as good as that IKEA game, or not IKEA game, that was mentioned earlier on the, earlier, but later for you guys listening to this on the show. I think that's probably a pretty strong pitch for a horror itch.io style horror game. A tour of a house with a ghost in the loft space.
When we got into the loft, I think, so when we bought this place, which was ages ago, I poked my head up and had a quick look around, that's fine. Anyway, when we moved in, I went into the loft properly, and there was just a poster of a young David Beckham on the wall.
Perfect.
And the weird thing is, I go up there now, the poster has aged.
Very good.
That's another spooky thing, isn't it? For Halloween. So tomorrow I am going to be in the shed. The lights of the house are down. I am not receiving trick-or-treaters.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Was trick-or-treat a thing for you when you were a kid?
Of course it wasn't.
That's interesting, because it definitely was for me. Well, it absolutely was. But
Well, no, sorry. I mean, actually, the idea of the trick-or-treat, not just this going around sticking your hands out and going, just give me some sweets. We were walking around the the town earlier, and everyone's going nuts for it. They're proper, quite what looked like quite time-consuming decorations up the front of loads of houses. That never used to be a thing. But yeah, trick or treat there would be some tricks involved as well.
Mm-hmm.
You'd stick a French banger up somebody's exhaust or something like that.
To coin a phrase.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it definitely was for me. But my partner, Lisa, this week said, oh, yeah, that's come over from America, and it was never a thing when we were kids. And I was like, absolutely was. Definitely a thing. Like, definitely the front of houses, that wasn't a thing when we were kids.
Didn't have houses back then, Steve, did we?
I wish we didn't have them now, Simon.
Right. Nice to see you. Sharky says that he's updated his comments. So the best thing about podcasts is playing it at 1.5 speed, though. He's used to you guys speaking a little bit quicker normally. We've certainly gone on this show. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We will see you on the Discord during the week. Or we'll see you here next week. We'd love you to listen live and chat throughout the show, please. So hopefully speak to you then. But until then, here's the show.
Goodbye. Oh.
Hello.
Very good. Hello, good evening, and welcome to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. My name is Steve Curran.
Hello, I am Simon Byron.
Hi, Simon. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's dark, isn't it now? Someone's turned the sky off.
All happened last night. Didn't like it. Didn't like it this morning either.
Yes, I think we probably remarked this last year, but in the old days when we were younger, spring forward, fall back extra hour in bed. All it means now is an extra hour to deal with your children.
Yeah, quite. And yeah, trying to explain why now it's getting dark earlier, and also that the nights are getting longer doesn't actually mean that the nights are getting longer. Oh, Daddy, but I couldn't sleep through the night before. How am I going to do it now? The nights are getting longer. It's not what it means, mate.
My room feels weird. That's what she said this week. Okay.
This is a bad house.
Where is your daughter now? Because we managed to get through the recording last week without any hassle. And today was remarkably stress-free in terms of going, I'm not sure what it's going to be like. Could we do very early on a Monday? Where is she?
She's in bed. Or,
what?
She's technically in bed. She's in her bedroom and she's...
you've not told her about the clocks. It's 8 o'clock in her world.
No. She is currently playing ball. She's currently agreeing, and we'll see how that works. Again, last week I remember warning you guys at the start that there may be screaming in the background, and not to worry about it. It was just normal. Well, welcome to the new normal. Absolutely fine. Bedtime's quiet, well-behaved children, and that is how it's going to be for the next 15 years.
Good stuff. And unless anybody stops us, we'll be here as well then, won't we, for the next 15 years?
We will. We're a video game radio show. We've been doing... Oh, my goodness, that's worrying. We've actually already been doing it for longer than 15 years, haven't we? Oh, Simon, I could be on my second family. This is a video game... It's a video game radio show. We are going to talk about video games, although Simon warned me before the show that he hasn't done enough news research.
Is that exactly what I said, Steve? I just said I didn't have many news stories. I did scroll through videogameschronicle.com as I do every Sunday afternoon, and it did look like nothing's happened.
I've got a few news stories. I don't know if they'll overlap. We also have reviews coming up at the end of the show, but I haven't played very much this week. Have you?
I have.
Okay, good. not sure about the state of the letters. So if you are listening live, you have about, I don't know, probably about 20 minutes to get a decent letter in, or honestly, any kind of letter in. And it will be read out on the show.
Well, can't we invite them onto the show if they're listening live?
Well, I was thinking we could have a new feature called Live Letter, where we just rope in a listener and say, any questions? Anything you want to get off your chest? But technically, might be a bit of a challenge. They have to go in through a different door, Simon. Audience, guests, presenters.
Hey, we've got my father-in-law down at the moment, who very kindly helped us out through half term, and to celebrate, we all had pizza this evening. Celebrate the end of the week. He's going off tomorrow. Dexter came round. I ordered from Dominos. We ordered so much pizza, I had to pick it up from another door.
the party door,
around the back door, yeah, because they couldn't get it all through the little hatch.
Wow,
I know.
That's exciting. Did you feel like a VIP? Do you feel?
I really did with my buy 3 pizzas for a discount.
Good. What did you have on your pizza?
I let everybody else choose, Steve. When you're a dad, you just ask what everybody are. Your job is to try and keep most of the people happy most of the time, and often that comes at the cost of your own happiness. But that's just what we do. It's just what we do.
You've got a shed, Simon. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment.
I know. You can move in here. It's that behind me is a sofa bed.
Next year, when I'm on my 3rd family.
Okay.
It'll all be different next time. All right, shall we get on with the news?
Let's do it.
Video game news with Anne Scantleberry.
It's 7:05 on a Monday evening, probably, or other times are available. I'm Simon Byron, and this is the news. Sorry, I should click to my tabs, don't I? They didn't get this wrong on the actual news, do they? Where they've not got their browser open. From VideoGamesChronicle.com, written by Andy Robinson, the first 2 Modern Warfare stories this week. Physical copies of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 allegedly include just 72 megabytes of data on disk. That's according to Does It Play, a social media account which tests physical games to see if they can be played offline on consoles. According to the account, Modern Warfare 2's disc comes with hardly any data. Assuming it's stored on a standard PS5 UHD, brackets 100 gigabytes, less than 1% of storage is being used by the game. At the time of publishing, the download size for the Activision shooter is around 100 gigabytes. And that's before the release of Warzone 2 next month. So users purchasing a physical copy will still need to download virtually the entire game and still require the disc to play it. VGC has asked Activision for a comment on this story. If true, shunning disk storage raises issues of not just download caps, but preservation and the environmental impact of printing what are virtually empty discs in plastic boxes. Many social media users have criticised the alleged move. Why is it alleged, though? Surely somebody can actually find this out. So that's me popping into the news story.
I mean, someone could, but presumably the news reporter couldn't.
And they're too busy writing the news up. Content creator Lance McDonald wrote, "Stop pretending this is normal. It is not normal. It should never become normal. Tethering a physical disc to a digital service that forces you into firmware updates, online ecosystem and DRM updates just to play a single-player game is not standard now and should never be." So, Steve, 72 megabytes of data. It's not very much at all, is it?
Well, not these days, but back in the day, you could do an awful lot with 72 megabytes, couldn't you?
You could. But a fraction of what Modern Warfare 2 is doing. What format are you playing Modern Warfare 2 on, Steve?
No format. But formats? I assume, PC, if you bully me into it. Are we going to squad up?
I mean, I was going to say I don't see why we wouldn't, but I mean, actually, I'm not paying 60 quid for it, so that's So I suspect it's unlikely.
So this is sort of like getting it's more like what is the purpose of this physical edition? It's basically so you can give it someone as a present, right? Like, because it's not functional on its own. It's essentially like getting a code in a box.
Yes.
So I get that. It raises interesting problems for the future. Like, this will be useless when the servers are off. Like, this will not work forever.
Yeah, and maybe they've just worked out that actually let's just stop pretending, because whenever you buy a game these days anyway, you generally have to download a hefty patch. And so imagine installing the game in order to download a patch that was going to be there anyway. This is just putting that to one side and saying, look, guys, we all know what's going on here, but if you want to pass this round the school playgrounds, this is the way you're going to be doing it.
That was definitely my first thought as well. But I suppose, it's all very well us talking about, oh yeah, well, we all know how annoying it is when you've got to download a 100 gig patch or whatever it is straight away, and that takes 6 hours or something. Internet speeds are not consistent across the world, and if there'll be some people who want to buy a boxed version of the game because then they can just play it, and maybe their internet is not super fast, and therefore it's or even average speed, and actually updating a game is not possible for them, and these people simply can't play that game. Right, that's it. It's done. That disc is useless without the internet connection.
Yep. But another reason is probably that the game probably wasn't actually finished until the day before it came out, and the discs were manufactured 6-7 weeks in advance. So it also stops the leaks, Steve.
Are you segueing into another news story?
I'm not. No, okay. It's also I decided not to cover, but it looks like retailers have been selling copies of God of War on PlayStation 5 2 weeks early.
Yeah, did you not cover that news story because the guy who was quoted was using an F word in it?
He used the F word.
The one.
Not an F word, the. And I was a little bit worried that I would read it out, because actually in that story it was starred out in the headline, but was there for all to see in the main body of the story.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, I get it, and it is annoying, but it's not really that's more of a consequence. So the story itself is a developer on God of War super annoyed that spoilers about the new God of War have leaked before the game comes out. This is more of a problem with the internet than video games, isn't it? And it happens with every single form of media, every movie, every book that comes out. There'll be someone looking to leak what happens before, because that's a position of power you can exercise over strangers on the internet. And that, unfortunately, is how the internet works.
Gotta live with it now, I'm afraid, Steve. No, the next story is also about Modern Warfare 2. Canadians who purchased Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 for Xbox on Friday discovered that its physical box seemingly calls out PlayStation in error. Boxed copies of the Activision shooter boldly proclaim on the rear of their packaging that the Call of Duty series is the best-selling franchise on Xbox or PlayStation, depending on the format the copy is for. However, in Canada, where packaging must display text in both English and French, Activision appears to have forgotten to translate this particular text, leading to the awkward call-out for the console rival.
Hold on. Wait. They only have to translate one word differently, and that is Xbox or PlayStation.
Le Xbox.
What about for PlayStation, Simon?
Le PlayStation.
Very good. Okay.
Assuming the error will be fixed in future print runs of Modern Warfare 2, these early copies could become something of a collector's item. Call of Duty is currently the subject of a war of words between Microsoft and Sony as regulators around the world scrutinise the latter's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Despite repeated assurances from Xbox that the Call of Duty series, which is regularly the best-selling release of the year in the US, will remain on PlayStation, Sony has been engaged in an increasingly public war of words over the proposed deal, and told press that Microsoft's offer in regards to the future of COD was inadequate on many levels. That's embarrassing, isn't it?
It's
that's going to be
problem.
It's going to be a tough day at work for whoever's responsibility that was, wasn't it? You'd have to go. I mean, I don't know what you'd do there. You'd have to just take a few deep breaths in front of your screen, and then you presumably have to go and walk up to the headmaster's office in Activision or whatever, and just knock on it and sit outside.
Yeah, I wonder whether that's the sort of job that's often outsourced, right? And someone carrying the can for this is probably an agency outside of the organisation. Of course, there's always a line manager who should have double-checked that. It's a very easy mistake to miss, though, isn't it? Printing Xbox on your PlayStation discs. It's very easy.
Yeah, given that... sure whose fault it would be, because all packaging needs to be approved by the format holder, doesn't it? And they have super strong guidelines. So if it was your job at Activision Blizzard to make sure that you didn't put PlayStation on an Xbox box, I think you could quite rightly go, but they didn't spot it.
Quite. Yeah, I mean, before that point, it's probably all in an Excel spreadsheet somewhere, and it's quite hard to... You're scanning this stuff looking for typos and swears, aren't you? At least it didn't use the F word, an F word.
Well, that's because God of War's a PlayStation exclusive.
Perfect. Shall I do a news story?
Do one.
IKEA have sent the lawyers after an indie dev for making a horror game about a furniture store. That's according to Vicky Blake on Eurogamer.net. IKEA have issued a cease and desist demand to an indie horror developer, insisting they change their unreleased horror game in a bid to stop press and players alike from comparing it to its global furniture chain. The store is closed. It's a haunting mashup of End Night Games' The Forest and the humdrum of everyday life, and comes from indie developer Ziggy. While it doesn't use any of IKEA's products, names or branding, IKEA believes the developer is infringing on its copyright and has sent in New York legal firm Frost Zelnick. Consequently, Ziggy, who's based in the UK, has 10 days to make the changes or face legal action. IKEA's lawyers contacted me about the store is closed, Ziggy tweeted. I was going to spend the last week of my Kickstarter preparing an update, but now I've got to desperately revamp the entire look of the game so I don't get sued. Well, Simon, that is one way to stop people connecting your game, your IP with a game, isn't it? Your brand with a game, by declaring publicly that you're going to sue them over it and definitely don't talk about this game in connection with our furniture shop.
So it doesn't, looking at the screenshots to it, it meant, it doesn't, does that look like an IKEA to you?
I'm looking at the screenshot that Ziggy, at Ziggy Game Dev, has posted. Oh, he hasn't posted. He's posted a link to a Kotaku story, which I believe takes a screenshot of the game from the new thing. So it looks like he's posted a screenshot of his own game. And front and foremost is a banner advertising Swedish meat, now 79% fresh, in a big empty furniture store, which, it's warehouse-like, and it's making references to Sweden. The IKEA lawyer goes on to say, your game uses a blue and yellow sign with a Scandinavian name on the store, a blue box-like building, yellow vertical striped shirts identical to those worn by IKEA personnel, a grey path on the floor, furniture that looks like IKEA furniture, and product signage that looks like IKEA signage. All the foregoing immediately suggests the game takes place in an IKEA store.
It's an odd one, this, isn't it? Because first of all, you just changed the blue to a different colour. The other, what it doesn't have is that I can see from the screenshots are like husbands and wives arguing, big blue bags.
I tell you what, it will probably have, like, just given the quality of general NPCs in video games, it will have that stare into the mid-distance that I have in IKEA. Just not really focused on anything, just knowing this will pass.
Dexter, when he was younger, would take great pleasure in, we would go around IKEA, and it was when he was into his drawing the male member phase on any surface that would take a pencil or chalk, and so he did leave a number of those within some of the on display drawers and in cupboards and all of that sort of stuff. So be interesting to see whether they feature within the game. So Ziggy's changing this now then, is he?
Well, I believe so, based on that that grumpy tweet. Let me see if it says further down. No, it's. I mean, it's all visible on his Kickstarter page, which you can have a look. You can also wishlist the game on Steam if you want to. And I assume, like everything, if people get angry enough about this, then they'll just mod it to be like IKEA anyway.
Yes.
So they're fighting a losing battle, and I think this is the Streisand effect in action, isn't it? This is not going to do anything other than draw more attention to the Kickstarter, which is good for Ziggy.
I might back it. Yeah, it seems quite cheap though, the amount of money he's asking for.
Well, that's Kickstarter, isn't it? And your faith in believing whether the game can be completed on that, or you can wishlist it on Steam and hedge your bets.
Stick it to him, Ziggy.
Is it your turn for a news story, or shall I go again?
I can take one. It looks like the long-rumoured Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake may be announced at the upcoming The Game Awards. The news comes via a now-deleted video that reportedly popped up on Chinese studio Virtuous' YouTube channel earlier today. You can never delete something quicker than someone can save a copy of it, though. The video, regardless of whether it had been published intentionally or not, is now doing the rounds and has Metal Gear fans speculating that the remake may soon be formally confirmed. It looks as if the teaser, which seems to be getting scrubbed as quickly as it's being re-uploaded, includes Morse code for the phrase December 8, 1964. 8th of December is when the awards are set to broadcast, whilst 1964 is the year in which Snake Eater is set. More interestingly still, this strange video kerfuffle coincides with the recent release of a recruitment video in which Virtuos shares a day in the life of a Virtuous Montreal. Within the video, an artist can be seen with the art of Metal Gear Solid coyly on display on the side.
Coyly.
So it comes a year, exactly. Yeah. I mean, what is that? I mean, what is it doing? Is it just lying there with its flaps open? It's just, this all comes a year after a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 was first reported to be in the works, with Konami reportedly handling development to Virtuous Studios. So, Steve, yeah, I mean, one of those. Shall I upload this video now? What, the one that's like obviously referencing Metal Gear Solid 3 and the Game Awards? Yeah. Should we check with anybody before we do that?
Just stick it up there.
It goes. I'm sure no one will notice. We'll just get it ready.
And if they do, we can always take it down.
Can always take it down.
Done.
So it looks like that surprise has been spoiled, which is an effing outrage, according to Sony.
Well, I had picked this news story as one of mine as well, Simon. Not because I care about Metal Gear Solid, but because you do.
I do.
Yeah. How do you feel about this one coming back then?
I'm very excited to play a remade version of it. These games, like the Resident Evil games, often don't age well, mainly due to the controls. But I thoroughly enjoyed Snake Eater when I played it on the Vita. Was how I finished it. I haven't played it since, so I don't know whether it has aged well or not. But suspect that it could benefit from, doing what modern games do, etc. So yeah, looking forward to this one, Steve. Someone did say a comment on Twitter this week, which made me smile, which was, why don't they, this is great news that they're remaking some really good games, but wouldn't it be better to remake bad games and make them good? And it's like, yeah, it would, wouldn't it? It really would.
Really, really good point. Well done, person on Twitter.
Yeah. Snake Eater was brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I look forward to enjoying it again if it happens. And is that a big if, Steve?
We don't know. We just don't know.
We just don't know.
All right, I've got another news story here to replace that previous one. Here we go. Sega is aiming to create a, quote, super game, close quote, by March 2026. This is according to Ed Nightingale on Eurogamer.net. Sega is aiming to create a super game by the fiscal year ending March 2026. That's according to the company's latest report, which lays out its medium-term plan. The article goes on to say it's not clear exactly what this super game could be. But Sega has high hopes for its existing and past IPs, including, you'll never guess what, Simon, Sonic.
Sonic!
The report includes a message from Sega CEO Haruki Satomi in which he discusses the strategy behind this super game and the aim to attract streamers. One strategy for generating such hit titles is the creation of a super game, a large-scale global title. We're currently developing such a game, targeting release by the fiscal year ending March 2026, he said. The ultimate goal in the super game strategy is to create a game so revolutionary that it attracts far more active users than any of the group's games to date. One key to achieving this goal is whether we can draw together a large community involving not only players but also streamers who stream the game and viewers who watch the videos. That kind of community expands and further develops game content, adding value to the game that is unimagined by developers and sparking a broader movement, which can then draw in even more users and grow the game.
Until everybody in the world is playing.
Here's a graph that shows, and look, the line just keeps going up. It just goes up. So how...
This is fantastic. I mean, hats off to the Sega employees. Like, they're all sat there doing nothing, aren't they? And then what's happened is, like, the investors have come around and they've gone,
what are you doing, lads?
Open up the doors. Yeah, exactly. What are they doing in there? Oh, they're making a super game. Oh, jolly good. Carry on. That's going to be... Wow.
I love about this that there is... that they're just saying, yeah, so all right, guys, we've got a plan. It's just what we're going to do is we're going to make a really successful game, and I don't know why anyone's not thought of it. Yeah, it's just going to be really successful, and that's going to make money. Also, I love the way the article, every time it writes super game, it puts it in quotes, like. Even in the context of this, of Sega's CEO saying it, and it just feels more and more sarcastic as it goes along. Like, discusses the strategy behind this super game. Yeah. So I'm very. Are you excited about this?
Wow. I mean, well, we should be excited, although, should we? Because we're all going to be playing it anyway, aren't we? So
there's no way of avoiding
inevitable.
It.
Yeah.
I think we did do a news story about this before, or at least it was slightly more obliquely referenced, I think. And wasn't this one of the things they were planning to bring back Crazy Taxi for, or maybe even Jet Set Radio?
I mean, what we didn't have in the original story was all the detail that we've just got.
I know.
About so, it's good to hear some more about it. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, to be fair, I'm surprised that publishers and game developers around the world are continuing to write games that were due to be released after this super game.
It's just a waste of time.
It was a waste of time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, is that all of the news?
Yeah, there was also some nonsense that Hideo Kojima said this week about his new game. He said that his new game is almost like a new medium.
Did he say which medium it's like?
Well, he says if this succeeds, it'll turn things around, not just in the game industry, but in the movie industry as well. Okay, you carry on your work. Maybe team up with Sega.
All right, thanks, Simon.
One Life Left video game news with Anne Scantleberry.
This is One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. We're a video game radio show, and we are recording live on a Sunday night, 7:27 p.m. It'll go out on Resonance on Monday at 7 p.m. as well. And later on, it will be podcast. You can find the podcast at www.onelifeleft.com. There you can also read the show notes put together by our under caretaker Phil. You'll also, in those show notes, find a link to the One Life Left Discord, which is where we get together to discuss this week's show, next week's show, and everything video gaming.
The super show, that's what we should work towards, shouldn't we? Just one podcast that everyone's going to be listening to forever.
Yeah. We're slowly sort of returning to the pre-pandemic times. It was that we were in a studio and we'd have regular guests and features. And for a while, we had to sort of bunker down. Simon in his shed in Hitchin, me in my one-bedroom flat in South London. And we recorded the show, on Zoom. Now we've got our own virtual studio. We are going to bring in guests soon, aren't we, Simon?
We are, Steve, yep.
That's the plan. As said last week, Charles Cecil very eager to come on the show. So, and yeah, we've got an audience watching us right now. If you want to watch us, not just listen to us, but watch us record the radio show and hear the gossip in our debrief afterwards, a little bit before as well, then you can do that by showing up on the Discord around about 7 p.m. or just follow the link on the Twitter on Sunday nights, and please join in there. The news related to that, though, Simon, every week we're trying to build on the previous show and get closer to, classic One Life Left. Well, the big news is, Simon, we've got a feature this week.
What? Really? Is it a new or an old one?
It's a new feature.
Wow.
I know. It's like old times.
And are we going to do this once? Or, and everybody's going, it's great they've got a feature again, and then never do it again?
The good news is 2 of these features are already in. So if we'll have it this week, and we'll have it next week, and then potentially never again. But we'll see.
Are you going to drop that in now, then?
Here we go.
Hi, I'm Alice, and I'm a game designer, and this is One Life Left.
Hi, Alice. What games have you designed for us this week?
This week I've got one about penguins.
Okay. What do you do in the game?
We have to give fish to penguins.
Okay, you give fish to penguins. What happens when you give the fish to the penguins?
They eat it all up. We just need to get it from the supermarket and the tadpole.
Okay, you get the fish from the supermarket and the tadpoles.
Yes.
Okay, is there anything you can't give the penguins?
We can't give them fruit, and we can't give them sausage rolls or cookies.
Okay, and where are the penguins when this is happening?
They are in someone's house.
How many points do you get for each penguin you feed?
5.
And what happens if you feed a penguin some fruit or something you shouldn't be feeding them?
You lose your feet.
Does the game get more difficult as you go along?
Yes.
How does it get more difficult?
When the fish has run out, we have to give them fruit and cookies. That doesn't make sense, and we shouldn't be doing that.
That does sound quite difficult. How does the game end?
By finding more fish from tadpoles and frogs.
Do fish grow from tadpoles and frogs?
Sometimes.
Okay, good. How would you describe the game?
7 out of 10.
Fair enough. Thanks, Alice.
That's adorable, Steve.
Thanks. She's very excited about her new game design career. As I said, I think at Reboot Croatia, she saw lots of game designers there and thought, yeah, I can do that. And so she's making notes now. And she, today we went to see the Freeze Art Fair in Regent's Park today. Not art fair, but art exhibition. And on the way back, thoughtfully, she's been musing to herself. She said, "It's really good. I've got a job now." And then she paused and she said, "As a game designer." And I thought, yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see how long this feature continues. But as I said, another one in the can already. And if anyone out there wants to record a feature for One Life Left, we are now in a situation where we can drop them seamlessly into the show like that. So please get in touch. You can email us at
team@onelifeleft.com.
Talking of which, it's time for the letters.
Email, messages and forward BCC. One Life letters.
So over on the Discord, they've responded to your call, Steve. Ed writes, "Dear One Life Left, Do you offer any support for listeners who've accidentally got hooked on Marvel card-based mobile games? Ideally before Big Gary comes round to take all my stuff, stroke thumbs, because of the money I borrowed off him to buy digital superhero gold. Thanks for any assistance. Ed! I'm pleased to hear that you're enjoying Marvel Snap. I was a little concerned because there was some disquiet on the Discord last week when some people, I won't name names, it was Tony Gowland, said that he thought that it was free-to-play mobile rubbish. I'm summarising his points, but he was quite dismissive of it. I mean, we will talk more about Marvel Snap, but I've been playing nothing else of any significance this week. And I too, Ed, have spent actual money on digital cards. However, I see that Morghese has suggested this. It's £8.99 to buy the Spider-Man, Spider-Woman booster season pass. I only spent £1 though, Steve, because I've been making up opinions in the Google Opinions app. so it didn't cost me as much as they wanted.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah,
what has happened to you? So you're not alone by any means. This game has blown up, and not just in the easily after we covered it last week, I think. Not just in the easily persuaded by Marvel or greedy wizards space, but you know who I saw going on about it on Eurogamer.net was Kristen Donlan.
Yeah, we're in good company. Come and join us, Steve.
I mean, the best company now. For those Resonance listeners who aren't aware, Chris is for my money, the best writer working in video games. You know, he's brilliant. His opinions are smart, nuanced. He is often a promoter of games that I would describe as emotional, thought through. You know, he's my darling, if not the indie darling, and he's gone for this. He wrote there was a little piece on why it was a joint piece. I have no idea who the other person was. I only care about Christian. Talking about how much he loved it. And I thought, well, maybe I should pay it. No, absolutely not.
Really?
No.
You can play it on Steam as well.
Well, he confessed in the piece that, he's a sucker for, I think it was certain era of Marvel stuff. And that was part of the appeal. The game mechanic, there's no doubt that the game mechanic, from everyone I've talked to, apart from Tony Gowland, not to mention anyone's names, everyone loves the game mechanic. It's pure and it's simple and it's smart. But also it's the touches in the game that people really, really enjoy as well. The way there's lots of little sort of references and interactions to be discovered, which mean a lot more, obviously, if you care about Marvel, not just the Marvel comics, not just I don't get right. The movie Marvel thing is called the MCU, right?
Yeah.
And doesn't that sound for Marvel Comic Universe?
Yeah.
No, Cinematic Universe.
Right.
Right, I get it now. Okay, so it's not just for people who care about the MCU, it's for the whole Marvel thing, right? So anyway, I don't care about any of it. And I've now, unfortunately, committed to not liking this, and there's no way back.
Oh, come on, John. It's what it does is it has these rotating locations which affect how you play each round, or can affect, so that adds an element of randomness to it, and also these sort of chain reactions of events where one card affects another one, then does something else. Blah, 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 blah. Seeing some spectacular plays come off. Kate said to me this afternoon, I was playing it. She said, "What's just happened to your face?" Because somebody played a card I'd never seen before that basically turned the final round in their favour when I wasn't expecting it at all. And that's what it is. It will often come to the final play, and what you have to do is win 2 out of 3 locations. So you could be winning 1 or drawing, and they could be winning 2. And you know that they need to, at the end of the final round, they need to be still in control of 2. And so you try and work out what they're going to do to think that you're going to take one of those from them. And by doing so, leave a hole elsewhere. and then this moment where it just shows you what moves that you both made, and once you've outfoxed them, it's so rewarding, so rewarding. Yeah, it's really good. It's really, 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 really good little card game.
Are you playing real people?
Yes, I don't think you do at the start. Again, someone else mentioned this, where it is often, I believe, like the first time you play PUBG on mobile, you're like, oh, I'm brilliant at this because I've just won. Yeah. And you're like, no, that's just what they're trying to do is make you
think,
feel like get you involved, because like sometimes if you start. Remember some of the old FIFA games? It'd take me 4 or 5 games to score a goal. And then you're like, this isn't fun, is it? What you want in your first game is for you to win 3-1, or something like that. And so, so I do think that they fake the early rounds. But I'm up to collector level. It's in the 200s now, maybe 220. And so, that unlocks a load of free cards. I was umming and ahhing about whether to actually spend what was £1 of my money to get these cards, but I am trying to build a deck around card movements, and that's what Miles Morales does. So those sorts of synergies.
All right, there is another letter on the Discord as well, isn't there?
There is. I was going to say I thought we'd cover. Let's start now. All right, Sharky writes, morning. Sorry guys, I've had a bit of a hiatus from the show for a few years, a lack of commute to play podcasts, etc. But back and listening live these days. Thank you. Question, news with Anne. What happened to Anne? Keep up the good work, pip pip. What happened to Anne?
Well, it feels like catching up years of history, like we should have a, previously on One Life Left thing. When a man and woman love each other very much... Anne had a baby, and that is why she couldn't read the news, because everyone knows if you have a child, it interrupts One Life Left, like as it has been doing to our cost for the last couple of months. So give it, I don't know, 17 years, and Anne will be back.
Well, first of all, we'll be having a new feature from her baby. I would have thought in sort of 4 years, once Alice has gone on to become I don't know, what's above a video game designer, Steve?
Everything, literally everything that you could possibly think of.
Once she's risen through the games industry, there'll be space opening up for a young, enthusiastic game designer. And will be it. So yes, she's busy. If we've left the door open, we hope to see her back.
Yeah, and we also haven't updated the news jingle. It's kind of like an emotional tribute to her. Also because we're just very busy and tired all the time. But I hope that you still enjoy the news section, and I hope that Anne, is listening and thinks that me and Simon are doing a good enough job.
It was definitely funnier when she did it.
Very true. Do we have any more letters?
I thought we did, but I can't find it in the old emails, so not currently, no.
All right. If you have anything you want to say to One Life Left, you can do that by emailing
team@onelifeleft.com.
You're listening to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. We're a video game radio show, and Simon is clicking around on his PC, trying to find something.
I was just checking for missing letters.
Right.
I ventured into the spam, and DHL are trying to deliver something to me. That's a scam. They are not. A man called Jim says, hi, I hope you're well. Would you be interested in a possible business partnership? Please let me know, says Jim. Can I tell you, actually, I had a really weird...
Hold on. I've just gone into our One Life Left mail. I've got an email from... is it okay to read out, someone from Hill and Knowlton's real name?
Yeah.
Okay. So, got an email from Agnese Bortuzzo to me, not to you. It says, hi there, getting in touch to check if you'd like a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. If so, let me know the best platform for you and I'll send a code over.
What?
Simon,
Let's squad up.
we could squad up.
Get a Steam code. Let's squad up.
Okay, there's a feature waiting to happen. I'm going to send you this right now.
Okay, great.
There you go. Let's squad up. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
So I have to use LinkedIn for business reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Did I read this out? Did I read this out before, where somebody on LinkedIn said, "Hope you don't mind the direct approach. I'm curious to know how you and your team humanize outreach." like almost every word of that sentence, I do not understand. What? What does that mean? How do you humanize outreach?
I don't know. Humanize. I guess it's how you make people feel like they are, like you are a real person rather than someone.
Which I am.
But you're a real person, but you're also using mail merge, Simon, and you're sending
I'm
out
not.
thousands of. I know you're not, but the person thinks you are.
Well, he's not humanised his outreach, has he?
No, he hasn't.
I mean, that's the irony there, isn't it? And he's desperate to have a call with me. I mean, what other community is there that presumptive? He's hassling me. He's like, hey, I appreciate you're busy, but can we have a call this week? I don't know what you've said to me.
Mm.
Why would I want to then go on a call for you to try and humanise your outreach all over me?
To coin a phrase.
To coin a phrase.
Very good. All right, shall we get on with the reviews? Unless there's time for a Simon Byron's Fast Five. You know, one day I'm going to make a jingle for that, and then it'll be on the soundboard, and then... But that day is not today. All right, here are the reviews. So I asked you before the show if you played anything, because I have only played FIFA and one other thing, which I will talk about in a bit, but isn't new to me. What have you been playing, Simon?
Well, as mentioned, Marvel Snap has been occupying a lot of my time. It's really good. I thoroughly recommend it. 7 out of 10. I'm trying to finish Uncharted 4 when I'm not playing digital card games and paying money for things that don't exist. And I've just got past the big set piece, car chase, and I can't remember if I've played it before. I feel like I must have done, but outside of this bit, which was the big moment in the game. I'm just finding it fine. I'm finding it annoying in places where there was one bit where he said, let's get back to the car. And then I didn't know where he was going. And I sort of ran one way and then it just went grey and Nathan died. And I thought, it's not really a game. It's a very, very, very flashy series of flashy QuickTime events presented in real time. That's I don't remember it like that, but then I don't remember anything about it. So, and will I remember it once I've finished it? Who knows? But I'm not sure that I'm enjoying it.
Would you say the same is true of The Last of Us as well?
I haven't played. Well, I have played that. I remember nothing about it apart from not liking it. Like so scripted and so linear, and the only skill that you've got is aiming and the puzzle solving, and the puzzle solving has been fine. Typical push this button, rotate this thing here. How do you get up there then? And that bit's good, but I've been thinking as I've been playing through whether I've enjoyed the modern Tomb Raider games better. And I think I probably did, which is a shame. I wish I hadn't played it again. 7 out of 10.
So, those of you who have been following One Life Left closely over the past 6 months will be aware that I'm trying to buy a house or buy a flat, and that fell through this week or last week. It was on the cusp of falling through this time last week and has now officially fallen through. But get this, Simon. I've had an offer accepted on another flat.
Blimey! You don't hang around, do you?
Well, no, you can't afford to with mortgage rates at the price they are at the moment. So anyway, I've had another offer accepted, which doesn't sound like it's relevant to the review section, except for it is, Simon, because this flat that I offered on has a virtual tour on its website.
Right.
And I was looking at this virtual tour, and it said, "View this in VR."
Oh, wow.
Now, since I got my new PC, I hadn't hooked up my Oculus Quest 2 or Quest 2 to the PC, but this was the motivation I required to go back into VR for the first time in about a year. It took me a while to get things set up. Things have slightly changed. You don't have to use virtual desktop anymore. Oculus has got its
Apparently not.
wireless link thing in. None of it was particularly intuitive, but I did get it sorted eventually. And I immediately put two things on. I put Synth Riders on, which I have missed playing over last year. Synth Riders is the Beat Saber-alike game where you hit glowing orbs in the sky and end up thinking you're dancing along to a song, but obviously you look ridiculous in real life. I think it's better than Beat Saber, 7 out of 10. So I enjoyed that. And like every normal human should do as soon as they go into VR, I played Tilt Brush for a bit, which remains just still the most astonishing thing, just painting in VR. I don't know. A thing I was going to put on Twitter was ask if anyone has any recommendations for things that are as magical as Tilt Brush, because that was my first experience in VR and I still haven't had anything that matches that. So if there is anything better or as good, please let me know.
I am terrible at painting or any sort of art, and therefore I've never fired up Tilt Brush.
You've never tried it? Like, I'm awful at art, like terrible. But it's, yeah, you should do it. I mean, I've never made anything good or worthwhile in Tilt Brush, but just the feeling of painting in the sky and being able to look around that stuff is incredible. It's absolutely astonishing. And yeah, ultimately I did go and look around my potential new flat in VR. And that was weird because I don't know if you ever tried any of these things, but the scale is completely off. So you just feel like a tiny child and everything is massive. But it was good to be motivated. So yeah, I'm ready to play any VR games if anyone has any recommendations.
So have you made an offer on this place without actually going there?
No, I went as well. Went twice.
You should have turned up with your Quest headset on, still, just to see.
Yeah. I mean, like, no, the guy was like, when I went around, he was like, "Oh, have you tried the VR thing? It's very good. It's very good." No wonder he thinks it's good because it makes the place seem massive. It's not massive,
right, but
it is bigger than one bedroom, which is what I need right now.
Well, congratulations.
I mean, ask me that in 4 months. Because
has it got? How does the heating work there?
Yeah, not like the previous one. The heating is normal. Okay. So, yes.
And then, how are you getting on with your FIFA quest?
So FIFA, so last time I think we talked, I turned up the difficulty, and it was now too difficult for me, and I was getting beaten all the time, and that was no fun. That was it was less fun than winning all the time. But like the bears in Goldilocks. No, wait, like Goldilocks in Goldilocks. I then put the difficulty between, and now I win generally.
It's a 0-0 draw.
Yeah,
every game.
I'd cope with that. Although Stockport are on the rise again, so maybe I wouldn't.
Well, look, in old men getting involved in modern gaming trends, like me playing mobile free-to-play games, Jonathan Smith has become addicted to FIFA Ultimate Team.
Oh no, that's the last thing we need.
Well, he's entering tournaments now and not letting his family into the lounge when he's playing.
Oh dear. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. But I did see an adorable video on Stockport County's YouTube this week, where it was the players, and these are players who've never been in FIFA, or as far as I'm aware, have never been in FIFA, because many of them have been in the non-league structure. They had to guess each other's FIFA stats, so they had big cards, and then they had to guess what the numbers are, and none of the numbers are very good because they're in the bottom division. But it was cute to see that. Is that the end of the review section?
I believe it is, Steve. And that's the end of the reviews bed as well. It's a bit sudden.
I've got control. I've got control over everything now. But what I don't have control of is what we're going to do in the next 6 minutes, because, or it's a bit less than that, 5 minutes, because we've hit the end of the show a little bit early.
Well, in the old days, of course, we'd just be able to pad it out with some really long game music, wouldn't we? But that's difficult to do these days. So I definitely prefer doing the show like this to how we were sort of splicing it together afterwards.
Oh, 100%.
The one thing I would like to see, if you're listening, Riverside FM, is there must be a way of interacting more with any of the audience that I hear. At the moment we've got Ed complaining that we've not addressed something on in the letter section on Discord, but it would be nice to have people interacting here, wouldn't it? What can we do about that? Can we play Pictionary or something?
There is a chat window here.
Okay.
On the right side of your screen, but the chat window is currently empty.
Right. Okay.
No one's. I mean, Ed has written live shed action in there.
He has written live shed action. So why aren't people putting their text there?
We do need to. I think this is a journey of discovery, not just for us or the listeners of Resonance FM listening to us discover this, but also to our audience generally, who are live with us. And if anyone listening right now wants to be part of this, join us on Sundays.
So I've been sort of keeping one eye on the audience, and it's gone up to 6 and it's dropped down a bit here and go. I think what's just happened is that somebody was listening, stopped listening, and has now come back just in case we do anything with them at the end. Which means that we shouldn't.
We also, we should. I'm sure there's a way of monitoring this, but we should have giveaways as well for the live audience, incentivize that. And
maybe you could just type some money into the chat bar. Can we do that?
Down to 5 listeners now, Simon.
Oh!
I don't know what you just said, but it wasn't good enough. Okay. So we should have a guest, though. We should try and have a guest for next week.
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, do you mean that? Like, we can brainstorm it now.
Oh, it's no problem trying. Try very hard.
Yeah, we should.
You are right. I mean, even just getting. Sorry, I was about to say even getting Phil on, but that was very dismissive. No, it was nice having him on, and I was really pleased that the show worked out.
It did work out, except for those of us who had to edit it afterwards and repair it. Like, as you said, I think the worst thing from the last 3 years of doing One Life Left in a COVID world has been the editing, which is just really, really time consuming. Right now, that's not the case. There is just a button that says export and you're done. And that's super, super exciting. It wasn't the case last week because for those of you who only heard the podcast edition, we had a guest on, but the show was not broadcasting his mic, so we had to repair that after the show. Anyway, that won't be the case this time. I'm just going to export.
Because we're not going to have that problem by not having any guests. Do that thing. Good. All right. Well, it's been good to see you. What are your plans for the week?
I'm going to Denmark tomorrow.
Fair enough. I'm going to Bristol on Wednesday.
It's not a competition, but if it was, I'd have won. I'm going to Denmark tomorrow to do a talk on Tuesday. And then, loads of work, because when you do things like that, you've got to cover for all of your missed work. So I've got lots and lots and lots of stuff to do for the rest of the week. And then, don't know, next weekend it's One Life Left again.
After the fireworks.
After the fireworks. Are you going to see some fireworks?
Good. I think we are, yes. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. All right. Well, thank you, Simon.
Cheers,
for
Steve.
Joining us on One Life Left for the last 17 years. Thank you to all of the listeners. Thank you to Resonance of Heaven for having us. And thank you to Pickaxe for hosting the podcast as well. Until next week, we've been One Life Left. Goodbye.
Goodbye.